and using AI and machine learning, we are now able to predict outcomes. And finally, friends, IoT, Internet of Things. So we are seeing a lot of physical assets, be it a machine or a car or a pallet, what have you, even pets being connected to the internet through IoT devices which use sensors inside it. Now, what are these disruptive technologies? And I'm not going to go through the details of all of this, but broadly, I've listed 8 here. So AI, augmented reality and virtual reality, blockchain, drones, IoT, robotics, and 3D printing. So what is really very clear is that a company which is able to, of course, you start with the IoT because you need to connect, to a physical asset, and then you slowly progress towards using AI, etc. But it's only when you combine multiple technologies together, that's when a company could get maximum business value, a combinatorial effect of multiple technologies working at play. And of course, it's always going to be a journey. You can't have a big bang approach and straight away adopt all these technologies. Depending on the use case, you start with one, then slowly you keep adding, over a period of time. Now, why digital skills matter? I'm sure this question must be there in your mind. And let me tell you, and based on my number of years of experience, and especially in the last 4 years when I took up this role of being an IoT evangelist for AT&T, one thing which is really clearly emerged is that every job will be a tech job. And what I mean by that is that one need not be, coding and, getting into tech kind of roles. Of course, there are lots of those opportunities, but every job will need the assistance of technology, right? So technology should be seen as a friend to somebody and not as a foe, right? So I'll just give you a quick example. So for example, in marketing and sales, right? So if you're in a marketing and sales role, you would obviously want to make sure that you meet your revenue numbers, your targets. Now, how do you make sure that you're able to target the specific customer that you want to sell to, right? So here, actually, you can use the power of data. You can analyze the data. If you have a specific customer that you're targeting, you analyze the customer's business, specific people within that organization you want to map. You can get data about them, and you can be very targeted in terms of whom you're mapping, right? So you use a lot of data. In fact, marketing, a lot of the advertising budgets that are spent is based on all the data that they gather, which geographies to target, and all the stuff, what channels to use for digital marketing, etc. Similarly, in the example of AI today in HR, you can actually use AI tools to be able to, kind of analyze all the resumes that come, and using the power of data, you can actually choose the right resumes that you can filter, and then you can perhaps schedule your interviews, right? So there are a lot of these functions where you're actually going to use AI and other technologies. That's the first point which I want to make as to why digital skills matter. We've also seen, a number of non-techies wanting to, take courses in machine learning, data science, cybersecurity, etc., and even full stack programming. So in fact, this trend is not just visible among people who are at entry level, maybe 5 to 10 years, but even people above 40 are actually seeing this. We are, signing up for these courses. Simply Learn actually had witnessed a 30% growth in the number of non-techies taking programs. So that's another thing that we have started to see. And I just want to say, end the slide by saying that, see, AI is not much about coding as much as it about creating, using creative models to solve your business problem. So whatever technology that you use, whether it is AI, IoT, AR, VR, what have you, the ultimate objective of the organization is to use these technologies to improve business performance, right? You want to solve your business problem, better business outcomes. At the end of the day, technology is used for that, right? So and this is actually going to get accelerated going forward. Very quickly, what I want to do is touch upon each of these technologies. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll just touch upon a few and talk to you about some specific use cases, how these technologies actually helped organizations. And let me start with IoT. So as far as IoT is concerned, you have a physical asset, right? It could be a car, it could be an airplane, it could be a holding some cargo. You want to connect it to the internet, so you use any kind of a network. You could use a cellular network, you could use satellite, you could use a fiber-based network, and then you send all the data that you're gathering about the asset to an IoT platform, which is a cloud-hosted platform, where you ingest all the data, you store it, you aggregate it, and then you visualize the data. You're able to see the condition of particular asset in real time. And depending upon that, based on what you gather from all these physical assets, you want to take decisions, right? And then you also want to integrate it with all your backend applications. For example, if you have a situation where, say, a particular subsystem within the airplane or a car is faulty, you would want to trigger the ERP or the maintenance system to be able to place an order with the supplier to replace a particular part that failed, right? So which is called predictive maintenance. So you want to get into a situation where you can predict when a problem might occur, right? So in a nutshell, IoT itself is a very, very vast topic, but in a nutshell, what you have to do is collect data from all these physical assets. You use IoT devices which have sensors in it. It could be a temperature sensor, it could be a vibration sensor or light sensor, different types of sensors. So you have these sensors integrated as part of a device, use a network to send all that data about its attributes to a platform, and then you connect it to the backend. And based on all the data, you analyze that data, you visualize the data, and then based on which you are actually able to take decisions. So this is an example of a good IoT solution. AI. Now, I wanted to draw the distinction between three concepts, right? So you have automation, you have analytics, and you have AI, artificial intelligence, right? Now, analytics is when you gather a lot of data about a particular physical asset, you're getting some inferences from the data, right? You're able to analyze, you see some patterns in that. So that is analytics. Now, automation is you kind of, if there are any mundane tasks, repetitive tasks that you want to completely do using machines, that is called automating because you're doing it without humans there. And thirdly, AI, artificial intelligence, is where you use machine learning algorithms, where you use models, where you feed a lot of data, and using that, you want to predict an outcome, right? So this is a slide which gives you a good example of, different concepts here, like assisted intelligence, where you're assisting humans in making decisions, right? I gave you the example of HR, right? Where you could use AI to help you make the right recruitment decision, right? So you're assisting a human in making a decision. Automation, I said, is without humans, so you're automating manual routine tasks. Augmented intelligence, where you're augmenting humans in making decisions and you learn from all the data. So AI plays a very big part there. And finally, autonomous intelligence, adapt to situations through data and act autonomously, where you actually are not using human intervention at all. So we are still a long way from that, right? But speaking, these are, four concepts that I kind of wanted to share with you. Virtual reality, now we are seeing a lot of use of virtual reality, especially in training, where one gets into a completely immersive world. So I'm sure you must have heard of the Facebook Oculus headsets. The moment you put it on, and for example, if someone who's wanting to train to fly an aeroplane, and before he's actually given the task to do that, they actually put him, right? Because he gets into that virtual world, right? So you have virtual games today, right? So you're completely immersed in a virtual world, right? So that's virtual reality, and there are various use cases for that. It can be used for operator simulation, for safety training, facility training, etc. What is augmented reality? Now, in augmented reality, what you essentially do is you superimpose the digital on the physical world. And a good example of augmented reality is Pokemon Go. If you recollect that game where someone had a phone, he had an AR app, and he was actually tracking the Pokemon which is going on the roads, right? So you're actually superimposing the digital on the physical. So another example in the industry. So supposing you have someone who's wearing an AR headset and wanting to repair a very complex machine, he can actually get digital instructions. So instead of carrying a manual with him, he can actually get digital instructions that are imposed, or which would actually be in his line of view in the headset that he's wearing. So you're able to combine digital and physical to give him that experience, augmented reality. Great number of use cases for augmented reality today. I want to very quickly share some use cases, okay? How technologies like IoT, AI are actually helping businesses. And this is one example which I wanted to share about This company called Live Pure is a company which makes water purifiers, and this is a brand that the great cricketer Sachin Tendulkar himself has endorsed. And water purifier business today very unorganized, right? So you have very few players who make water purifiers in the organized space, but by and large it's very unorganized, right? You have a lot of these people who sell you these 20-liter cans, right? So what Live Pure wanted to do is they wanted to actually compete against these guys and disrupt that market, right? So one is they had to compete against their competitors and add more value, a differentiated service. Secondly, they were also trying to disrupt the unorganized market. So what they've done is they made their water purifier smart and connected. So they've added a flow sensor inside this water purifier, a sensor basically which is able to measure the flow of water inside, and the overall health of the water purifier can be remotely monitored. So what they've done is they kind of completely changed their business model. Now today, if you and I want to buy a water purifier, what do? We go to a store, you buy it, and at the end of 1 year, you perhaps sign a warranty, maintenance contract, right? So you get a 1-year warranty or a 3-year warranty, and after the warranty expires, you're going to pay a maintenance fee for the maintenance of the water purifier. So what Live Pure did is they are offering this as a service. So which means that as a consumer, I don't buy it outright. I get it for free, and because it's got a flow sensor to monitor the water inside, the volume of water consumed, I actually pay based on the volume of water that I consume. Okay, based on the volume of water that I consume. So, and if you have an app where you're able to see how much is your consumption. So if I order say 10 liters, I pay for 10 liters. And as I'm coming closer to the consumption of 10 liters, I get an alert saying that it's time to do a recharge, and then I can do a recharge depending on how many liters that I want. So a great example of how a company is able to transform their business model leveraging the power of IoT. Another example I wanted to give you, RollsRoyce. We all associate RollsRoyce, the company which makes luxury cars, but they are actually, the major business line is selling aircraft engines. And they sell aircraft engines to companies like Boeing, Airbus, and all that. And here again, they've used the power of IoT to offer a completely outcome-based model, an engine as a service, where again, companies like Airbus and Boeing, they don't buy the engine one time, they get it at a very, they just pay an installation cost to have it. The asset doesn't belong to them. The asset belongs to RollsRoyce. But RollsRoyce, having the right, sensors inside it, they're able to monitor it in real time and are actually able to offer, much better support because they're able to get data in real time. And even before the engine fails, they know exactly what is going to cause the failure and are able to take action in advance. And the companies like Boeing and Airbus actually pay based on the number of engines, number of hours the engine is actually flying. So a great example of how a company can transform the model using IoT. A very quick, another example of a company called Musk, which uses shipping, these containers to move cargo from one point to the other. It's one of the largest shipping liners. So they have all this temperature and humidity sensitive cargo like shrimp and strawberries and all, which are going in these containers. They're moving from one continent to the other. And the objective was to monitor the cargo in real time. So they have a IoT device with a temperature sensor connected to the refrigerated container to monitor the cargo in real time, to monitor the overall health of the container also. So, and they're able to track the location of the container in real time. So great example here. Also wanted to share, and this is contextual, Big Basket, India is one of India's largest online grocery stores. They are using IoT in a big way. So as you know, Big Basket, one of the, they used to get about 150,000 orders a day before COVID. And ever since the pandemic, we're getting about 400,000 orders per day. And they had this challenge where all the cold chain boxes, which are actually carrying all the vegetables and fruits, which are moving from one point to the other, either they were getting misplaced or because of the fruits and vegetables, some of them which are temperature sensitive are getting rotten. They wanted to find a way by which they can address that problem. And here what they've done is they have added IoT devices with temperature sensors, monitoring the temperature in real time. They're able to track the location of it in real time. And in case they find that there's a temperature excursion, they're able to take actions. It's a very big use case, but and a very detailed case study, but in the interest of time, I'm just being very brief here. COVID situation, you found a hospital in Kerala actually using an IoT-enabled robot. So this is called Karmi Robot, which is used in a hospital in Kerala. So here they were actually using this robot to dispense food and medicine to the COVID patients. They were able to collect the trash used by the patients. They were able to do the disinfection, and it actually has a video screen, not shown on the picture here, but there's a video screen here where a patient, in case he wants to interact with the doctor, can actually make a call and have a chat with the doctor. So another example of how IoT was actually used in the COVID situation. Now I'm going to switch gears and what the workplace is going to look like in the never normal or the new normal, as they would like to call it, right? So we're going to obviously see a situation where people who get back to the offices would perhaps have to wear masks while they're working. If you're in the cafeteria, you'll probably see these plastic shields separating people. Social distancing guidelines obviously need to be maintained when somebody is in a common area. And we are also going to see the situation where people working from home, moms working from home at the same time trying to help the child with their homework, right? Now, and we're also seeing this situation, right? This whole virtual collaboration, right? I mean, we've all been working from home. Some of us who are allowed to go to the office are going, but by and large, most of us are working from home. But the whole workplace of tomorrow is actually going to get redefined, right? It's never going to be the same again. Now, how is the new digital workplace going to look like in the future? So many companies have actually announced that they're going to have work from home until second half of 2021. I think even Google and Facebook announced it. We, as an AT&T, we have also taken a decision that perhaps until the first quarter of 2021, we'll have from home. So remote working is here to stay. Anytime and anywhere accessibility. So we all have devices for which we can access any application, right? So it's going to be a lot more flexible. People who have to be in office will come to the office. People who have to work from home, who can work from home, can work from home. It's going to be more automated and a lot more virtual collaboration, right? And thanks to tools like Zoom and Teams and Google Meet and what have you, you're able to have this collaboration, right, between people working in the office and people working from homes, right? So you're going to have an operating model where it's going to be a mix of physical and virtual offices, right? So that's going to be the mix going forward. In fact, there's even a talk that people who've gone back home, the tier 2, tier 3 cities, they might even have a small satellite office there and maybe have a supervisor there, appointed to manage people in those smaller tier 2, tier 3 cities so that they don't have to go back to a Bangalore and Hyderabad that they originally worked from, right? So you're going to see these kind of models where satellite offices in smaller cities, people working from home as a service model. So, the co-working space where people can actually take offices on rent or take cubicles on rent and just take for a few hours, right? So these are kind of models that are going to evolve going forward. As far as the workforce is concerned, I think, business critical roles will definitely be working from the office. People whose work does not require to be in office will work from home. Employees will probably be given the choice where they want to work from. We are also going to see this paradigm where humans work with machines, right? So especially in manufacturing, you're going to see people working with robots. In fact, they call them cobots, collaborative robots, right? Chatbots today, we are seeing a lot of RPA, robotic process automation being deployed, where chatbots actually work together with humans, right, in solving customer problems. And the whole workplace is going to be reconfigurable, right? So you're going to have the gig economy picking up. In fact, that's going to pick up in a big way. We're going to have this contingent bench, which is going to be created by companies where people, the housewives, people who have, retired, wanting to, take up opportunities for a few hours, want that flexibility to work for any company they want to, flexibility to work from wherever they want to and how many hours they want to work. So this whole concept of human cloud comes into play here, okay? Where, companies can decide how many resources they want, for what period they want, and then actually, kind of work on agreements for those few months, 6 months, 1 year, whatever, for which they want actually those roles, to be fulfilled. A lot of the opportunity that we're going to see is going to be in the AI, analytics, data science space, and especially people who had fundamental understanding of data will probably need a lot more reskilling to work on data science and AI. And of course, as you get back to work, there'll be a lot of new project management protocols that will be in place so that only people who are healthy would be allowed to go to the office. And a lot of technology is also going to be used in the office, where you're going to have thermal, infrared-based guns that will measure your temperature as you come to office. And those whose temperature is normal would be allowed in. Somebody whose temperature is higher than the usual will then be isolated. And then you're using a lot of analytics and all that. So a lot of technology is going to be used in offices where you're going to leverage CCTV cam analytics to be able to monitor who's meeting social distancing guidelines, etc. So we're going to see a very reconfigurable and a distributed kind of a workforce going forward. People working in offices, people working from homes, and a mix of both people, on employee roles plus the gig workforce. Just very quickly wanted to highlight some programs which NASSCOM, so I'm part of the NASSCOM W2RT program, as they call it, Women Wizards Rule Tech. I'm an IoT tech guru and a mentor for this. They have actually launched two programs. One program is called the Tech for All program, which is targeted to women who are non-techies. So if there are women working for organizations on non-tech roles, if they want to get basic understanding of technology, they have a 5-month program, and there are 6 technologies which are highlighted here: AI, IoT, cybersecurity, etc. And they get access to tech gurus. Webinars are organized, and so they get some basic understanding of all these technologies. And people who are techies in a company and want a lot more understanding of how these technologies would help them grow and become digital leaders in the future, there is a program from NASSCOM, which is a 1-year program, and they again 6 technologies in focus, very, very comprehensive, 60 webinars a year, 17 mentoring sessions. They have virtual lab experiences. They also have access to a future skills platform where NASSCOM has actually worked with Coursera and a few other companies in the online learning space to deliver content that is relevant to this program. And people also have an option to attend virtual industry events. So this is one program. And very quickly, I know of a couple of organizations which are trying to help. This is more targeted to women again in the cybersecurity space, because as I mentioned earlier, there are 2 to 3 million opportunities that are available for cybersecurity which are not being met today. And the percentage of women who are currently working in cybersecurity today is just 11%. So one initiative is trying to get women back to work and also getting to them into cybersecurity roles. There is an organization called Prayana, which is again targeted to women. And in fact, they are conducting one event on the 31st. If anyone is interested, they can reach out to me or to Pooja. I can share the details. But it is meant for women, who are housewives or girl students, freelancers, looking for opportunities in various industries and wanting to restart their career. They can actually join this 31st. The link is given here below. Now, very quickly, what has happened in the ever since COVID-19 hit us, right? And the biggest transformation agent has been COVID, especially when it comes to the e-commerce space. Today, we have about 700 million users on the internet. And what we have seen today is that the number of online shoppers have increased drastically. There are many first-time online shoppers that have been added over the last few months. Today, there was a report in Economic Times which says that there's a company called Redseer, which does market surveys. They estimate that 150 million Indians are going to shop during this entire festive period. And the sales that is estimated this year is going to be 7 billion, which is an 84% growth over last year. And a lot of the spend is going to come from semi-urban and rural India. And what are the trends that we're going to see in the future? We're going to see a lot more voice search. So thanks to Alexa, we are going to use a lot of voice to make those searches, to make it easy for consumers to order stuff. We are also going to see a lot more video. So people who want to use video as a channel to reach out to their potential customers, to explain product features, we're going to see a lot of that happening. And also vernacular, right? So a lot more local language support. So voice, video, and vernacular is going to really take off in a big way to address the next 200 to 300 million users going forward. Second trend to see is the direct consumer digital interaction. Now today you have companies who want to sell. For example, somebody who's selling garments might probably go to a Flipkart or an Amazon and have it on that platform to be sold. But we are also started to see companies also directly reaching their customers using digital channels. And this is only going to go increase massively going forward. And thanks to all the digital channels that are available, which is making it possible for people to do so. The EdTech industry obviously is being big time disrupted over the last 6 months, right? Byju's, I've just given a picture here of this. Their market cap today is about $10 billion. And others in the EdTech space, you know, an academy or upgrad, a lot of them, their market cap has also gone up, you know, big time. And we're going to see this whole blended learning kind of continue, you know, because I don't think we'll probably go back to that new normal where everybody would have to go back to their classrooms and learn. Learning is going to undergo a paradigm shift. We're going to have this blended learning here to stay, a combination of using online plus the physical aspect, right? So people who have technical knowledge and want to leverage that can actually sign up for companies like Byju. This is actually a good job opportunity for them. If you really have expertise in a particular area, Byju's actually need good teachers to teach students. So this could be a good opportunity for someone wanting to sit at the comfort of their home and impart their knowledge to students. Insurance has also changed. Today, there are new ways you can online order insurance. People can even get their policies online, right? In fact, earlier, before COVID, there's something called the Know Your Customer norms, where an insurance company would have to come to you physically, collect, address proof and your ID proof and all that, do a verification, and then a policy is issued. But now you have what is called a video KYC, where using the power of video, you can get on a video call with the insurance agent, and using a video KYC, they can actually validate your identity and actually sell you a policy, right? So people who are wanting to, you know, sell insurance online or through video, I think this is the best, perhaps the best possible time, because you have technology today that is making this possible. The whole process of buying cars have changed. I know India is a country where we want touch and feel, but the whole process of buying cars have changed. Today, Hyundai is giving you an option where you can, what's called click to buy, where you can select the model, color, whatever selection you want. You get a quote. If you want to get it financed, you can, you know, select the financing option, and then you can finalize the order. And before you finalize the order, you can set up a time when you can do a test drive. The test drive will come to your doorstep, finish the test drive, and then you have the car which is actually delivered to your home, right? And this is reality, my friends. This is actually happening as we speak, right? Now, let's look at other opportunities that are available for people wanting to earn from home. In fact, one of the topmost search items ever since COVID hit us was, how do you leverage digital to earn from home? And that was one of the topmost searched items. Okay, so content writing, of course, is a good opportunity. It's technical content, or it could be non-technical content, and people who have a good expertise in all these areas, be it life skills, mental health, goal setting, cooking, beauty tips, can actually leverage YouTube, Facebook, and Insta platforms for delivery of content, right? And I think we started to see that. In fact, again, you know, today's Economic Times, there was a very nice article about a particular farmer. His name is Ayyappan Nagaraj, and he is a farmer based in Tamil Nadu, and he's got about 1.3 million subscribers today, and his expertise is in tractors. So anyone wanting help in tractors actually are able to go to his YouTube channel and get his help, right? So again, you know, you can sell merchandise using these platforms. You have this concept of micro influencers. Brands are leveraging micro influencers a big way to be able to create that impact on the social media. And there are also these short video apps. I'm sure you'd have heard of them, like Takatek and Moj, which are kind of substitute for TikTok. But these apps also could be leveraged to be able to, you know, use that to sell yourself, you know, virtually. I just want to end by saying that we have seen this whole democratization of technology, because the whole technology has become really cost effective, and that is actually unleashing the power of digital, right? So the entry barriers to start a digital business is much, much lower today. Somebody wants to start a digital business, he wants an app, he can get it done If you want a mobile app to be built, you can get it done for really, really low rates today. There are a lot of guys who do mobile app development. They can just have it hosted on the cloud. The cost of hosting it on the cloud is also very low. And in fact, the cloud tariffs keep coming down rather every quarter. The internet bandwidth that is available today, it's far better. Of course, there's a lot more scope for improvement, but the cost of internet bandwidth is much, much lower today than what it was in the past. In fact, India's mobile tariffs are the lowest in the world. And of course, you're going to leverage the power of digital platforms like Zoom, Google Meet, etc., to be able to collaborate and reach out to your customers, right? So starting a digital business is much, much easier today than what it was before. And to complement that, you need a really good digital payment ecosystem in India, right? And today, again, there are enough options. You have UPI. In fact, they have done about 1 billion transactions last month. Then you have digital wallets like Paytm, etc. You could use WhatsApp for business. That's another option where you can transact off WhatsApp. And finally, friends, I think from an India standpoint, even though we might be going through a challenging quarter now, but then we are slowly coming out of this. In fact, the last quarter was much better, and we started to see some good green shoots emerge. The economy slowly recovering. The demand in India and the demographics. I think the opportunity is very, very massive here, and I think one can definitely leverage the power of digital to address this massive opportunity. With that, I end my and I'm happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil. So you've given us a fairly big landscape of possibilities as either role holders or small business owners, or being able to really scale using technology. So I'd like to keep this now as an open house and ask those who are, you know, you can either send your question by chat or just, you know, put on your video and ask Sunil any question.
Okay, there's a question about Prayana. So Anjali is asking me about Prayana. So Anjali, what I'll do is I'll probably send the details to Pooja. She can perhaps send you the details. This is a webinar that is organized on the 31st of October. It's an organization which is based in Hyderabad, and they're doing this on Zoom. So I'll share that details to Pooja, and she can perhaps reach out to you. Is that okay, Pooja?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's another question, Shrivali Christian.
What is the position of users without digital skills in the new normal? Okay, this is a very interesting question. Okay, so I think there are roles where one does not need to really have digital skills, right? For example, I'll just give an example of project management. You know, you might need to have a little understanding of digital technology, maybe not necessarily acquire a digital skill, but many companies are embarking on massive digital transformation initiatives, and they need somebody to work with all the stakeholders in the organization to manage those projects. So one necessarily be a technical digital skilled person, but high level understanding of digital coupled with doing a course in PMP or Scrum, project management, and some amount of domain knowledge about that industry. I think so that is one. And also there are people in humanities and arts also who are required today, because this whole user interface which many companies build for their app, even Cortana, this is the virtual assistant from Microsoft. They actually want to give a very cool UI and UX, and they don't get actually the techies to do that. They are actually getting people from the humanities and arts functions to do that, because they need people with creativity. So I think what is important is people who have creativity, people who are good in design. I think there are quite a lot of roles for those kind of profiles. So one need not be a techie to survive. I think there are enough opportunities without digital skills. Even sales and marketing not be a techie.
Yes, and I'd also like to add, like our last session was on gamification, and they are looking for functional creative experts who can turn scenarios into games without you knowing coding and programming. So if you actually look at that, the field of technology also requires functional experts and domain experts. And I think that's where the synergy also comes. You don't have to be a coder or programmer, but today with solutions being more digital, how can you leverage your functional skills and domain skills to be able to support that solution? So I wanted to give that example because in our last session, we actually spoke about game-based learning, and they are looking for consultative skills who can convert scenarios into games, irrespective of whether you know coding or anything. So that's where the marriage happens between technology and functional skills.
Hope it
I
addressed your
think there
question,
are a couple
Shravan.
of other questions. Okay. Okay. The pranayam. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? So Sunil, while others think, I just wanted to understand from you. While a lot of people speak about the gig economy, and we have in the US where the gig economy is a large, has become a significantly large. How much of it is it a reality in India? Perception? What do you think? Because we've started speaking about it a lot more because of the fact that suddenly work from home has become like a big intervention. But do you think that organizations will be open to using gig workers? How real is it in India? Yeah.
It is real actually, Pooja. So today, if you just look at the gig economy, it is very strong in the informal economy, right? So, for example, Ola and Uber, perfect example of people who are not on the rolls of the company, but driving for them, right? So, or companies like Swiggy and all these food tech companies, the people are all on, they're all gig roles, right? They're not actually formally signed up with them as employees as such. Now, the more digital savvy organization. I'll just take the example of Wipro. Wipro have a platform called Top Coder, and this is meant to connect a job for 2 months, 3 months to somebody who wants, to a gig worker. So you go to that platform, it will share with you what are the different roles. It will mention what the project is all about, the duration of it, and then it will try to find the right person who can take up that role. So you kind of work with them, they work for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, depending on how long the project is. And once they are done, then they can actually go to some other project. It may not necessarily be Wipro if it's available, but Wipro's already started doing that. And there are many other IT companies who are also very clear that they want to start leveraging the gig workforce, especially for roles which are project based, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. So we already started to see that happen, Pooja, in the formal economy as well. It's already started to happen. And I just gave Wipro an example, but there are quite a few others who also started some platforms like that. Yeah.
Sure. There were two questions, Sunil. Thank you for those. Trying to get back, what are the options in the cyberspace? And is there scope for a non-techie in the cybersecurity space? If yes, please elaborate on what exactly. So in case you can take this.
Yeah, see, cybersecurity for the non-techie is going to be tough. It's not that it is impossible. There is a possibility that people, in fact, I know of people who are uh, without a technical background who are doing really well in the cybersecurity space. So one needs to have understanding of cryptography. One needs to have an understanding a little bit on networking. So those something that you can pick up. And I think there are enough learning platforms where you can actually, skill yourself in the basics that are needed to take up roles in cybersecurity. In fact, I can actually connect you to one person whom I know, who's an expert in cybersecurity. She's based in Hyderabad. Her name is Sima, and I know her pretty well. And in fact, yesterday I was asking her this question in preparation for this, saying that are there enough roles for people who are non-techies who can take up cybersecurity? And her answer, that came the reply saying, yes, it is possible. And in fact, CyberSci is one platform. In fact, I can share the details to Pooja again. She can in turn share it with you. How they are using CyberSci as a platform to skill women in cybersecurity so that they're ready for cybersecurity roles. So very much possible. was from Anjali.
Sorry,
Anjali. So
any
yeah.
one last question? We still have about 5 minutes.
Yeah, Dhruv here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, Dhruv. Yes.
Yeah. So, Sunil, I mean, I'm asking in terms of the, the landscape which you painted, what do you think would the implications, considering the kind of, organization culture which we have, and what would that, how would that pan out?
Dhruv, can you repeat your question? I didn't get you. I lost you for a
Yeah.
minute.
So, yeah. So, considering the kind of, considering, I'm trying to see that kind of the changes which you painted, and trying to link it up with the kind of culture which is prevalent. And so, what would you think would the impact on our culture be with all the kind of changes which you think will happen in the near future?
Pooja, you want to address that? Culture is something which is close to your heart. So, would you want?
Yeah, I mean, he wanted a non-HR view. Yeah. So, I mean, if you can give an example, because, with AT&T, and we've had this conversation multiple times of this whole, culture of transformation that digitization is, bringing in. I mean, there are a lot of conversations about certain sections of workforces becoming redundant. I mean, we've seen assignments where things which are very predictable, and I think that's where automation, the definition that you spoke about, that manual jobs which are getting automated, right? So it will also make a certain workforce redundant, who are used to doing that sort of job. And how are organizations really getting ready for this change? Because all of this is very easy to say, technology, automation, digitization, but it will also have its the other side, the dark side of it. So, I mean, if you can just answer to Dhruv's question of
No,
the.
I'll just take 2 points here. I'll make 2 points here. So one is the need for an organization to have a learning culture. That's very, very important. Okay, so while you might, whether you're a digital native company or a digital migrant, the need for a learning culture within the organization. The moment you have a learning culture within the organization, it kind of perpetuates itself throughout the organization. And everybody should be in that lifelong learning mode. So the moment, in fact, within AT&T, we have a very good program called the Personal Learning Engine, right? So we have a platform through which we can decide what skills would be relevant for me for today and for tomorrow. And I can pick and choose those skills. Some are paid, some are not paid. So that if I get a sense that maybe 2 years from now, my current skill may not be relevant, I can actually start preparing for the future. So it's actually, it's an organizational thing. I think it's very important that all organizations have that learning culture within them to make sure that the employees also have to get into that mode. They call it the lifelong learning mantra, right? You need to have that lifelong learning mantra. The constant need to upskill and reskill. I think that goes with everyone, whether it's entry level or people are mid management or even senior level. So I think that is very, very important. That culture needs to be really be strong within that organization. That's what I would want to say. I hope it addresses the question, though.
Okay.
Yeah, learning, unlearning, reskilling. I think that's one of the things why we are doing these knowledge series, is that I don't think today anybody can say that I'm the guru of this, because the way things are changing, a lot of us have to be very adaptable and flexible to, keep learning new things and unlearning the past. And I think that's one of the biggest areas, not just in the org space, but even at an individual space, whether you belong to an organization or don't belong to an organization. Unfortunately, what we learned in the past, we can't just, uh, look at that as equity. But if we have a very adaptable and a flexible mind, and we are open to picking up new skills, that will become our equity and portfolio. So I think I want to pick that up, not just from an organization perspective, but even as an individual. The moment we get stuck up saying that, this is the way I know it, I don't think we'll be able to fit in the new world. So and technology has become an enabler. I think a lot of what he said, while I wanted him to demystify concepts like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, because we use all of these and we don't know what it means, but we are already consumers of this technology. But how do we now apply, without being coders and programmers, how do you apply it to, take your career forward? If you are aspirational, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you are a, freelancer, how do you take that forward? So,
and I think I just want to add that, see, there are enough platforms that are available today for learning. I think there are more than enough today. Some are paid, some are free, but I don't think that can be an excuse now for not to learn, right? Because there are enough and more platforms available. Plus, I think what is also important is for people to also be selective in terms of all these webinars which are happening today. There are a lot of them happening, and I think they keep using this thing called webinar fatigue. But there are some really good webinars which keep happening. In fact, I have been very selective in attending some of these webinars. And over the last 6 to 7 months, I have actually made notes to the extent of 4 notebooks, writing points from some of these leaders, some very, very good perspectives. I think it's nice to attend some of them and hear perspectives from leaders from not just from India, but from also outside. I think there are enough opportunities now for that, Dhruv.
Thank you, Sunil sir. It was a great conversation. Got to know everything in one go.
Yeah, there was so much to pack in 45 minutes because this whole topic itself would need about half a day. And IoT itself, I'm an IoT evangelist, so I can just talk about IoT for the whole day. But we had to pack.
Actually, Sunil sent me his deck in 3 parts. I had to tell him to brutally cut it down to do justice in 40-45 minutes. It was such interesting material. It was very self-educational for me, but I felt that, we would need then a couple of hours to do justice to that material. But Sunil, thank you so much for, your availability, for being with us and taking out your time from, serious work that you do and, helping share your knowledge. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Hi, Pooja, you're online?
Yes.
Hi, Pooja. Nice. I am also a person doing a lot of webinars, enabling webinars. So I would like